All right, guys. Well, just like that, winter is here. So legit, like 2 days ago, I was out working on the yard in a t-shirt and shorts, and today, blizzard outside. So that's just typical Manitoba weather. If you don't like the weather, wait a few minutes, it's bound to change. So with this storm going on, basically everything in town is shut down. And the snow is actually so heavy right now that it's collecting on all the trees because the trees haven't even lost all their leaves yet. And branches are breaking off. I've got a few trees down in the yard already, so I'm gonna have a lot of cleanup to do once the snow melts. All the highways are closed. The snow plows are not out right now, so no one's going anywhere. I'm kind of stuck at home, so I'm gonna kind of take this as a snow day and see what kind of work I can get done around the garage. Now, unfortunately, because the snow is here, I've had to park Frankenstein for the winter already. I was hoping to get it out at least one or two more times, but I don't think that's gonna happen. So that means we get to start working on the Prelude. So if you guys remember, we picked this car up, I want to say about a year and a half ago, maybe almost 2 years ago. It's got the exact same motor that I'm already running in Frankenstein, but the plan for this one is to boost it. So I'm gonna get started pulling the motor. I've already got a bit of work done already, like I've got the power steering disconnected, the rad is out, fluids are drained, and I started disconnecting some of the connectors. I think what I want to do next is get to the ECU inside the car, disconnect that, run it into the engine bay so that I'm not disconnecting anything from the motor, because I want to keep everything hooked up the way it is, so I can get everything labeled. And I think what I'm going to do is be running the factory Prelude wiring harness, whereas when we did the swap on Frankenstein, we ended up using the factory EK harness and we ended up splicing the Prelude connectors onto it. So I want to see if I'm able to use this harness instead, and maybe that'll make the car run better, because I know there's a few quirks with this one. It has a really hard time starting sometimes, and I think it's because there's a few connectors that just aren't hooked up right now. So if I can use this harness, that'll probably solve that problem. So this is a bone stock H22 A1. And the plan is to get this motor pulled. I want to tear it apart and do a full rebuild on it, upgrade the connecting rods, and that's basically it. I want to make sure that it's good and clean and it'll handle boost just fine. So I've already got started a little bit on this. Tim was actually supposed to come down last night and help me out with it, and we were planning to get it all finished, but because of the weather, there was no way he was able to make it out. He has the good jack at his place, and he also has the impact right now. So I want to see how far I can get without those tools. I know I'm going to want to jack the car up pretty high so I can get underneath it for when I'm disconnecting the exhaust and the axles and shifter linkage, all that kind of stuff. So I may not be able to do that today, but I want to see how far I can get without it. And then next time Tim comes down with that stuff, we can just get it pulled, and then we can probably get it mounted on the engine stand and start tearing into it. So we'll see what the day brings and see how far I can get. So let's get started. Alright guys, so as you can see, it's still storming outside. I actually think it's gotten worse throughout the day. This is where I'm at on the Prelude right now. So I got a bunch of stuff disconnected from the motor, and then the original plan was to disconnect the ECU from the engine harness inside the car. I wanted to run it through the firewall and just leave everything intact and pull it out with the motor. But I forgot that this harness does go into the body of the car as well. So it's looking like what I'm gonna have to do is disconnect all of these connectors. I'm gonna try to label them as best I can. And then that'll free the engine harness from the body harness. And then I'll be able to figure it out later. So I'd still like to save that half of the harness if I can. So I might have to figure out a way to get up under the dash and disconnect some of that stuff. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I got the ECU sitting there. I still have to disconnect the shifter linkages. Just about everything else I think I got from up top. The clutch line I still have to take off. I got to disconnect probably some other vacuum lines and stuff over here. Probably the heater core too. I don't think I've done that yet. So just a few miscellaneous things I'm going to keep working at, and then basically everything up top is going to be done. So I'm just going to keep working at it, and we'll see how far I get. Alright guys, I think I pretty much got everything done up top that I need to get done. All the wiring is disconnected. I've disconnected all the coolant lines, fuel lines. What else do we got here? There were some power steering lines that were running to the back. All the vacuum lines are disconnected. I started disconnecting the exhaust. I got about as far as I can up top. The only thing left to do really is motor mounts, which I really don't want to do yet because there's some work we got to do under the car. So motor mounts will be the last thing. But yeah, that's basically as far as I can get today. So now I basically just have to wait for the weather to clear up so Tim can get out here, and then he's going to bring the jack and the impact, and then we can get this car lifted off the ground as high as we can so we can work under it, and we'll get the exhaust disconnected. We got to get the axles out. We can get at the back motor mount that way. There's probably a few other things we got to do underneath. We'll just make sure all the electrical is disconnected back there as well. And that's basically it. So next time we should be able to get the motor out of the car. So like I said, the plan is to basically do a full rebuild on that motor and get it ready for boost, and then it will be getting swapped into Frankenstein. So I'm still accumulating parts, but I won't really know what parts I all need to order until I get the motor disassembled. So I don't want to stockpile too much stuff at the moment because I want to figure out what I all need. So I'll get the motor disassembled and make a plan of what parts I need to get, and then we'll just go from there, because I don't want to just start buying a bunch of parts and find out they're the wrong thing, or I need something else first before I can continue. So I kind of want to do it all in order. Alright guys, so it is the next day now, and I realized while I was editing the video that it wasn't very long and it wasn't very interesting either. So I got all my turbo parts laid out right now, and I'm going to kind of show you guys what I have so far, and then I kind of want to explain what the plan is with the Prelude also once I have the motor pulled. So this is basically everything that I have so far. So this is the intake that I'm going to be running on the turbo build. This is a stock H22 intake manifold that has been ported and polished, and the butterfly valves have been removed. EGR delete plate is installed. So I picked this up. Someone else did a port and polish on it, and I picked that up from them secondhand. I got a turbo here, which is the cheapest turbo you can buy on eBay. I just want to try it out and see how it does. If it ends up blowing right away, I can always upgrade it in the future, but I just want to get this system working, and that's something external that's an easy thing to replace. I have two intercoolers right now, so I picked this one up a while back, and it's nice and thick and it's got a lot of weight to it, so I know it's a really solid unit. And then I also have this black one, which is quite a bit thinner. It's probably some kind of eBay brand, Sport JDM, whatever that is. I kind of like the look of this one a bit more because it is black, and I kind of want to go with more of that stealth look. But I kind of think this one's going to perform better, and it just feels a lot more solid than this one. So I haven't made up my mind on that one yet. If you guys want to comment below, just kind of let me know what you think about it. I do have a blow-off valve here. It's kind of in pieces right now. I'm just going to have to reassemble it, but it is a Greddy. I believe it's a knockoff, but it'll work fine for what I'm going for right now. And the color is blue, which I'm not too fond of, so I'll probably end up painting that. This is the turbo manifold that I got. This is homemade from the same guy that did the port and polish on the intake. I ended up getting this at the same time. So it's a very, very solid unit, and it's gonna do just fine for what I want. The wastegate flange is located on the back side, and I think on some of these, or on most of them, it's actually located on the side, and you have to relocate your alternator, because if we come over here, you can see the alternator is right here, and it would get in the way of the wastegate. So with having this mounted on the back side like this, it'll allow you to run your wastegate right up front, and then you shouldn't have to relocate anything. So I'm looking forward to using this one. And then I do have a box full of miscellaneous intercooler piping. I got lots of silicone couplers and stuff like that. So I should have more than enough stuff in this box that I can fab something up and make it work on Frankenstein. So it's a really good start. I know I still need a lot more stuff to get this whole system complete, but at least I have a good idea of where I'm going right now. So plan is just to pull the motor, tear it apart, and then figure out what I need from there. The plan with the Prelude is basically I just bought it for the motor, and the rest of it was just going to be a part out. So I have been selling quite a bit of parts off of it, which has given me quite a bit of funds that I can spend on the turbo build. And then the shell, I actually have a guy lined up right now. He wants to buy it as soon as I have the motor pulled. So I kind of want to get this motor pulled as soon as I can, and get the shell ready for him, and then I can get another car off the driveway and make room for other stuff. So I'm really excited that I've gotten this far, and that it's actually starting to happen, because I know I've been talking about it for a long time already, and it's finally happening. So let's finish off this video. What's exciting also is because I do have the intercooler and the piping and all that stuff as well. If I'm waiting on parts, or if I'm waiting for funds or anything like that, I can just take the front bumper off of Frankenstein, and I can start fabbing up some of the intercooler, and because it's the same motor, I can even start mocking up the turbo and all that stuff under the hood of Frankenstein already. Lots of stuff happening. I'm super stoked about it. I hope you guys are too. Make sure you hit that like button if you're stoked. Make sure you hit that subscribe button below also if you haven't already. We got a lot of updates coming on this car, and I'm just super excited that it's finally going to be getting boosted. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we will see you next time.